1919, in particular as it relates to the first Africans who arrived at Point Comfort on the English ship, the White Vine. The first Africans to English North America who were born free in their homeland and taken from their ancestral homeland and brought here against their will. There is no question the pages of history reflect that these ancestors had been on a long, dangerous, and tumultuous journey. And so the prevailing question that dances across the mind today is simply this: how could they sing the Lord's song in a strange land? It is only when we can answer this question that perhaps we will find those places of unity. Even so, in Psalm 137, verses 1 through 4, we're reminded of the text that says, "By the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down, yea, we wept when we remembered Zion. We hanged our harps upon the willows and in the midst thereof. For there they that carried us away captive required of us a song. And they that wasted us required of mirth, saying, Sing us one of the songs of Zion. Yes. How can and shall we sing the Lord's song in a strange land?" According to the text, the Israelites found themselves in a strange land, not unlike the first descendants of Africans who arrived in America in 1619 at Point Comfort. The Israelites had been taken into captivity by the Babylonians. As a result of their captivity, the Israelites, like I am certain the descendants of first Africans who arrived in America, were more than overwhelmed by their situation. And at this very moment in their history, the Babylonians required of the Israelites to sing the Lord's song. The request was not one of sincerity, but from a place of mockery. In essence, the backdrop was simply this: Israelites, in your current state of being, in your current place of captivity, sing for us the Lord's song and see what good it will do for you. While time will not permit us to fully examine the text, it is important to note that the Israelites felt that the songs of Zion were Jehovah's songs, to be used in the Lord's worship for religious occasions. And so for the Israelites, it would have been a violation to sing the Lord's song in a strange land among strange people, and not to call forth devotional sentiment, but rather just to do so to only gratify others' curiosity. In a strange land, far from home, far from the temple, exiles, captives. How can we find the Spirit in such circumstances to sing? How can we do that which we do not feel and cannot feel? And so listen, the idea was and is that there would have been anything within their moving, they would have found themselves in a place of unhappiness. Because indeed, while there was nothing improper, they did not feel connected. While there is no such record that the first Africans were asked to sing the Lord's song, yet for our ancestors, with their culture of respect for family, elders, women, and children, singing and dancing was also a strong part of their culture. The lyrics and the melody reminded our ancestors of their ancestral homeland. And those songs were transformed into spirituals that gave them hope for a better day. Songs like "Over My Head," "I hear music in the air. There must be a God somewhere. Songs like "Walk Together, Children, Don't You Get Weary." There's going to be a great camp meeting in the promised land. Songs like "I Couldn't Hear Nobody Pray."
Preach it.
Songs like "I Want Jesus to Walk With Me." I am convinced that when we personally know the Rock of Ages, we find ourselves singing his songs in a strange land. And in their singing, expressions of hope were born anew. Expressions of hope for a new day began to burst forth. And perhaps it was the songs of our ancestors that unity was brought forth like spring from the grips of old man winter. While Hampton's history, like any other community and culture, has its blemishes, it has demonstrated time and time again from a place of leadership that we must choose to sing and embrace love rather than hatred. That we must choose to heal rather than to hurt. That we must choose to forgive rather than to live with revenge. For in times like these, let us be slow to rush to places of judgment and remember the words of our Savior who once taught, "Ye without sin, cast the first stone." In times like these, let Hampton once again rise to those places spoken by Dr. Chester Brown of showing others the way. Whether Native American, African American, Caucasian, Latino, Hispanic, Asian, we are indeed all one human race. In dealing with the challenges of inequality and racism, Dr. King said, and he said it well, darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. I have decided, he said, to stick to love, for hate is too great a burden to bear. Let's build a world of peace, build a world of forgiveness, build a world of love and appreciation, build a world where we first seek to understand before being understood. Let's build a world of mutual respect. Let me conclude with a story that I wrote several years ago to capture a moving moment during my time as an assistant superintendent as a part of an intergenerational digital storytelling legacy. It is entitled "The Bridge." I stepped onto the bridge. I could hear the rustling and frogs croaking. I had never been on this bridge before. In this moment, I realized that through these same marshy lands, my ancestors were more than likely brought here to this country. And here their great-great-grandson could walk across this bridge as a free man, an assistant superintendent. Once I got home, I went straight to the closet and took out a portrait that had been handed down to me by a distant relative. It was a portrait of my great-great-grandmother, Matilda Piper Smith, who was born in 1834 and who died in 1907. At the time the Emancipation Proclamation was signed in 1863 by Abraham Lincoln, Matilda was only 29 years of age. Without question, she was a slave. On a testament plaque hanging on the wall of my home church, given by the descendants of those who enslaved her, the following words are inscribed. She was a blessing and an example of faithfulness, remembered for her many good virtues and good counsel. Matilda impacted the lives of those who enslaved her. We have a responsibility to help the next generation to find their places of unity and hope for a better tomorrow. Robert Frost said it well in his poetic expression. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged into a wood, and I took the one less traveled by. And that has made all of the difference. And so let us take the road less traveled and sing songs of peace. Sing songs of forgiveness. Sing songs and tear down walls of war and build bridges toward peace. Let us sing songs of unity. Let us take the road less traveled. And I am convinced it will take us to a better place, and we will be able to do what Maya Angelou once poetically said in her On the Pulse of Morning that she read on January 20, 1993. Here, she said, on the pulse of this new day, you may have the grace to look up and out into your sister's eyes, into your brother's face, your country, and say simply, very simply, with hope, good morning. God bless you.